back. All right, so today's the first, so I felt like this was a perfect time to get this video out here. We got holidays coming, so as we know about SNAP benefits, the federal judge just ruled that they're ordering for the Trump administration to pay out the SNAP benefits. It looks like it's going to be delayed based on what I saw. It's either going to be delayed or it's going to be not the full amount that's usually given out, right? So I made this video because I've seen a lot of false information about SNAP, right? I've seen a lot of information said people have to work, people do this, people do that. So I want to do this video because a lot of the information I'm seeing is false. And you should really do your research instead of just watching these news outlets. You should really do your research because both sides are giving you false information. So what is SNAP? SNAP is a monthly benefit for lower income households. So it basically helps you get the food in your household that you necessarily need. So you get things like fruits and veggies. You'll get things like meat, poultry, fish, dairy products, bread, cereal, certain snacks. And you can also get seeds to actually plant your own food. Didn't know that. So that's a really interesting nugget that I found there. What you can't buy, of course, is going to be alcohol, tobacco, vitamins, supplements, any non-food items. So the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics said in 2022, last time they did a study, that 1.3% of Americans are either making minimum wage or making below minimum wage. Now that in 1979, that figure was all the way up to 13.4%. Now my prediction, I feel like that number is important because it shows you the main driver of inflation, right? Which is going to be the cost of food. Cost of food usually ranks top 5, and our minimum wage is still at $7.25, but yet our prices of food keeps going up. Now we have less people on minimum wage, but if you're making $9, $10, $12 an hour, even if you're living by yourself with today's prices, with rent and everything, you're most likely not going to be able to afford your groceries. So that's where SNAP comes into play. It's not just people being lazy, which we'll get into later in the video. So inflation definitely plays a part into this, 110%. Prices are always going to keep going up. We get that. But then the salaries kind of stay or hover around the same, or it doesn't match the impact inflation had, which then lowers your buying power. All right, so here's some interesting data points that I found that I feel like go against what I've been seeing on the news outlets, on both news outlets, and on social media. So according to North Texas Food Bank, about 80% of households that receive SNAP actually has an income. According to Google, ChatGPT, I did cross-reference this in a couple other platforms because I just wanted to see if it was true. But from what I saw, remained pretty consistent that SNAP is actually one of the lowest, experienced one of the lowest rates of fraud any federal assistance program. So SNAP actually, again, has one of the lowest rates of fraudulent activity in any federal assistance program. Another interesting data point that I found was that for every dollar spent, SNAP can generate up to $1.79 back to local businesses and markets. And what does that do? That put money back into your local businesses, which then goes back into your communities. Okay, what's next? So 39% of SNAP benefits go to children. So the children are actually accounted into the 42 million Americans that receive this type of benefit. So it's not 42 million adults, it's 42 million Americans. Kids cannot get jobs. So I'm confused. They cannot get a job. When y'all are sitting here saying, get a job, put an app in. How is a 5-year-old putting an app in? Where are they going to work at? Disney? What are we doing here? These kids cannot get jobs. And they only make up 39%. So these kids are actually under half of what the SNAP provides, right? So with that being said, is, as I mentioned earlier in my video, how only 1% of Americans make minimum wage. The issue is the prices keep going up and up and up. So y'all are saying get jobs. Well, they have jobs. You're going to say get better jobs. How many jobs in America right now that aren't have massive layoffs are actually developing their people to go get these higher pay? Not many. There's not many jobs in America that will do that, that will offer you incentives to go get it. There are jobs out there, but again, there's not many of them. So the kids aren't the problem. Y'all keep saying stop having kids. The kids aren't the problem. They make up 39%. The rest of are adults. And actually 8% of that are veterans. So we have 1.2 million vets on SNAP. That's unacceptable. There should be no homeless vet, and there should be no vet that should receive SNAP, because they should get treated better than this from their time that they serve for their country. They literally sacrifice their body and their mental, and they gotta apply for these benefits. So are you going to tell someone who put their life on the line for their country, you need to go get a better job? Probably not. You probably won't say that. And another thing I found, according to Yahoo, again, nearly 25 cents of every dollar spent on SNAP goes to farmers and ranchers. We love our farmers. We love our ranchers. We have to. They help drive America. So for y'all who saying this is such a bad program, I just don't see it. Both sides are lying to us. Like, blue side, red side, whatever. I'm not even trying to be political about it, but I'm just letting you know that this is where you guys are getting your information from, and it's wrong. You have the blue side lied and say, up to 20% of veterans have it. So, because they want to boost it. No, it's only 8, right? It's only 8. But 8 is too many for vets. Red, they think you're too lazy. They think you have too many kids. You don't want to work. Again, that's actually false. 80% of households have a job, and only 39% of kids make up that figure. So that's not the issue. The issue is our jobs aren't keeping up with inflation when it comes to our pay. All right, so with all that being said, we really shouldn't be judging people without hearing their story or without walking in their shoes. And what I mean by that, I've seen both sides of the coin when it comes to this, and that's why I'm very passionate about something like this. I've seen both sides. Yes, I've seen abuse, but I've also seen it help very hardworking people. I also seen it help very hardworking people that are close to me. So again, yes, it's there to benefit those who do really try to make a living, and there's going to be people who abuse it. But again, that's any system. America, we pride ourselves so much in being Christian. We pride ourselves in so much of being a citizen. And yet there's so much divide. There's so much hate that you will literally judge someone before walking in their shoes or even just listening to their story. Just listening to them. That's the problem. Not everyone abuses the system. People need the system. Kids need to eat. People should enjoy their holidays without worrying about how to put food on the damn table. So before you go to judging these people, go talk to them. Walk in their shoes. And I guarantee you'll learn you something. You is not better than anyone because you don't have to receive those benefits. Go learn you something. All right. To close out, improving yourself. Right? Now, I'm a big believer. You should invest in yourself. You should find ways to generate as much income as you can. So that way you can, try to avoid being, relying on government assistance. Because as you can see, the shutdown, as soon as something shuts down, that will go on right away. And now people are panicked, and rightfully so. So with that being said, to me, I am a believer of that, but I also understand the other side of the coin that America is a spend first country. This country doesn't teach you about financial literacy. This country doesn't teach you to push yourself to go do better. This country teaches you to be in the system, do this, do that, clock in, clock out, go to school, eat, go to bed, and give us all the debt you can get. That's what this country relies on, and that's how this country eats, and that's why they don't push the financial literacy like they do. Social media wasn't around, and as like it is now in the early 2000s, right? And then why am I saying that? Because you didn't have these platforms to push financial literacy. You didn't have these platforms to help educate people. This is a form of a resource that people can get for free, whether if it's here or one of the bigger podcasts that, financial podcasts that are out there, like The Money Guy, Earn Your Leisure, Dave Ramsey, something like that. Those are all free resources people can go get that they didn't have access to just 25 years ago. So financial literacy to me should go it builds generation off of generation off of generation. The 401k is 46 years old. Why do I say that? Our parents are older than 46 years old. No one had no idea at the time about the 401k, right? So if our parents didn't teach them financial literacy, and our parents can't teach us financial literacy, how are you going to rely on us to learn financial literacy when you're not pushing it in the schools? You're not pushing people to learn these things. Like, you're not put half the people call, like, they'll call and say, "What's the interest rate?" Like that's alarming. You know, everyone should know what an interest rate is, because most of the time you're probably locked into some interest rate somewhere, right? So you're telling these people to better themselves, but you also need the resources and help. Every book I read about, habits, Atomic Habit, by James Clear, he said your environment is one of the most important things you can do that it impacts your habits, your environment. And I 110% agree with that. I tell you throughout this podcast, you have to have a healthy environment. I always say you got to have those around you that support you. Not everyone has that. And that goes a long way into building something, whether it's a business, whether it's your platform, whether it's yourself. You need people in your corner. Not everyone has that. So again, before you go judging people, just listen to their story, man. Like, for real. And just like get to know people. There's so much hate and divide going on right now that y'all really out here arguing about feeding damn kids. Every kid should eat. And the fact that we arguing is about these benefits to feed kids is wild to me. So, I'm gonna do my part. I'm gonna donate to my local food bank next week, and that's gonna help me go through these holiday seasons, knowing I'm able to do what I can to make sure a family can enjoy their holidays how my family enjoy our holidays. And if you look any differently like that, you are part of the problem. But that's all I had to say for today. Again, do your research on this, man. Like, it's a lot of this stuff. There's a lot of distraction going on. Do your research and have a nice day.